Dead Outlaw. Dead Outlaw. Welcome back, guys. I'm happy as I can be, because I saw what I think is one of the best new musicals on Broadway, and that is Dead Outlaw, playing at the Longacre Theater. And if you don't know the plot, it's basically about this guy called Elmer McCurdy, I believe, played by Andrew Durand. He basically is in the Old South, not in the Old South, it's a Western. He's basically in the Western universe. I'm terrible at describing plots, but he's like a cowboy, and he becomes an outlaw, and then he dies, and then he becomes an exhibit for the movies, for amusement parks, and it's basically a play, a musical about what it means to die and kind of how do people remember you. And it's a weird, quirky little show that not a lot of people, I think, are gonna like, unfortunately. Or rather, I don't, because I've read a lot of the message boards, and I think a lot of people don't get it right now, and I think this is a show that's ahead of its time. Like, I think it's a Sunday in the Park with George. It's a show that everyone at first are like, I don't get it. Why this is just a show about a dead guy, and then it's vignettes. There's no cohesive plot. It's weird. It's meandering. You know, that's the kind of reactions I'm getting out of it. And yeah, it kind of is. But that's the point of the musical. In the play, if you go into the playbill, when you get your playbill, I highly recommend that you check out this article called Outlaw Country, right? And it basically kind of summarizes, like, people's main complaints are, okay, the set is too small, you know, it doesn't work in a big space, you know, they don't, like, and I want to say a quote. Dead Outlaw harkens back to the experience of sitting around a campfire. It shares DNA with the original dramatic traditions of ancient Greece as well as America's outlaw country music movement. It is constructed in such a way that nothing is more important than the words. You should be able to close your eyes and still get the story from what we're doing on stage. What the creators set out to do, is that achieved successfully? And it is. It is achieved successfully. I think a lot of what I'm seeing in terms of the criticism from audiences that are like, everyone said this was amazing, and then I went and saw it, and it wasn't so great, is because they're going in expecting it to be something that it simply is not. This show is something where the words are the most important. It's not about the spectacle. It's not about filling the space. You know, it's not about aesthetics. It's about the form. And the form of it is taking the traditions of the ancient Greek plays and the, you know, stories you take around the campfire where something as simple as shadows and voices is what makes a compelling, effective story. And we as a society have gotten so used to the opposite of that. You know, Stranger Things, a great example. All spectacle, fills a Broadway stage, fits the description of a Broadway musical. And Dead Outlaw is very much almost like a counterculture musical in that sense, to everything on Broadway these days. Like, even something like maybe Happy Ending, which I love, is very literal. It's very driven by its spectacle in a lot of ways. And this show is driven through its words and through its meanings. But why do I love it so much? You know, I think this appeals to my sensibilities. I have a very macabre sense of humor. I like very weird downtown stories, and not everyone does. And that's okay, you know, but I think that's why people aren't going to like it as much. So again, to me, this was like this and maybe Happy Ending are the two best musicals currently running, including old shows, excluding like Hamilton, Hadestown, you know, the obvious ones. And like nothing this season comes close to these two shows. But again, I want people who go and see this show, because I know I do have some level of influence, and some people do take my recommendation seriously, to go in saying that, yes, I think this is amazing, and there's a lot of hype around it, but go in not expecting anything. Go in expecting a very unconventional show. So all of the expectations you have of a Broadway musical, you gotta leave at the door. you're in for something very different. Very, very different. The pacing, it's kind of slow. I liked it that way. This was the first show where I did not look away once. I was locked in so much to this show. But again, it appeals to a very niche audience. But again, I would challenge the people that aren't into this show to take it as what it is, and that, okay, this isn't a show for me. This show is not going to be exactly what I want, but can I appreciate what it's doing and saying to myself, okay, I might not like this, but it is achieving what it set out to do successfully, and I have to give it some credit for that. Now anyways, onto my just overall praise. This is one of the best scores I've ever heard. It is so pulsating and energetic. All of the songs are very high energy. It feels like you're at a rock concert, not even at a musical. Like, people that hate musicals would love this musical, except for the book scenes, which can get a little slow. But like, opening, Dead, Normal, Killed a Man in Maine, Nobody Knows Your Name, A Stranger, Something About a Mummy, Andy Payne. Like, these songs are just so good and so character driven. The lyrics are so complex and intricate, but yet it's so boppy, and you can like nod your head. This was the first time in the theater when I almost started dancing. You know, when I'd hear "Your mom is dead," dun 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 dun, "Your mom is dead," dun dun, and I was like wanting to get up and dance. Like, it was so good. And again, I love musicals that don't sound like musicals, that are, you know, it's like indie. You know, it's almost like you could hear this and you wouldn't think it's a musical. You know, it had that energy of when I saw Evan Hansen or Hadestown for the first time. It just has this pulsating energy, just doesn't let go. And it is a very weird story, but I'll give one example, because I don't want to spoil it, because I want you guys to see the show, and not for me to say everything, because I say a lot of stuff, I give a lot of spoilers, but I genuinely want people to go and see the show. There's Millicent's Song, which is done by the amazing Julia Kniddle, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and she plays the wife too. Multiple actors play multiple parts. It's a scene where Andrew Duran's body is dead, right, and she is the daughter of a famous movie producer. It's her singing about how she feels like she doesn't fit in, and talking to this dead body, and it's weird. And for many people, they're gonna be like, what does this have to do with the main plot or the main theme? This seems useless. But I would pause it to think of it differently, because to me, this was so beautiful and heartbreaking and different, because, and maybe this is just me, but I felt emotional listening to this song about this very alone, kind of weird girl found solace and companionship with a dead body. And it was in that simplicity that I found the beautifulness, that I found the complexity. And so to see this person finding comfort in this dead body and finding this connection, it just spoke to me on a very human level. And I would really advocate that when you go and see the show, that you really think about that you really think about, it is such a simple idea, and yes, it doesn't really feel like anything of much substance, but it means something on a human level. It means something on a fundamental level of, like, if you can really think about, wow, this one person could only find companionship with a dead body. What does that say about our society? What does that say about us as people? How does that make us feel about us as a human culture, as a society? Like, and it's kind of dark and depressing when you think about it. But also just kind of beautiful, you know? Like, yes, he can't speak to her, but yet she gets so much out of him. It's beautiful. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Trent Saunders, who plays Andy Payne. Great number. He literally is running while he's singing. Like, spectacle better than Boop, in my opinion, right? And it's just a guy running. And it's a very funny show. There's a lot of great humor in it. And I know people criticize the direction, but I thought it was very simple, but so effective. There's a quote that Hal Prince said, where he said, "If you have very good lighting and shadows, you got a great show." Because I think he said something like Sweeney Todd wasn't actually a huge spectacle, but people thought it was, or Phantom of the Opera wasn't a huge spectacle, but what made that so bigger than life was the lighting, and because the lighting was so effective and the directing was so effective. And Dead Outlaw has some great direction. When Elder McCurdy dies, they use the shadows on the walls in such an effective way that I thought was brilliant. You know, what they do with the set, it's all shadows and simple stuff, but to me that had more spectacle and more awness than anything than if you saw Moulin Rouge or Smash or Boop, you know. But the simple stuff really gets to me. One weird thing was that the crew came out with props, and I don't know if that was like a intentional thing, but it felt weird. So I feel like I wish they'd done that differently. But I truly don't have enough verbal words to describe how much I love this show. To me, this was one of the best shows I've ever seen on Broadway. It's one of the best shows of the last 10, 20 years. The score is amazing, the book is amazing, the characters are fleshed out, they're developed, there's a perspective, there's humor, it's got amazing lyrics, it is so good, and I love it so much. Like, I walked out of the show, and I was like looking at Times Square, and I was walking back to where I am, and I was like, life just seems so much more beautiful. The sky, like, I genuinely have never felt that way since I saw Shrek back in like 2011 when I was like a kid. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this show made me feel joyful because it made me believe in Broadway again. It made me feel like the musical theater is rejuvenated. It just, it's a masterpiece. It is gorgeous. It has no flaws. It's perfect. But again, having said that, I know that it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But for me, this was the best thing I've seen in ever. Everything's in here for a reason. Sometimes that reason's not very obvious, and sometimes it has something to do with the themes and the metaphors. Metaphors, the thematic themes, the motifs, the philosophy is more important than the story. So again, if you're interested in seeing a story where everything is like connected, it's not that. It's not that. But if you take it for what it is, I don't see how you can hate it or feel like this was a bore or this was cheap. You might feel like, okay, this wasn't for me, but yeah, the sound was so good. Like, I could hear all of the dialogue. The music wasn't too loud, only in a few sections, and this was for a second preview. And that's a huge critique I have, is that sound in musicals these days are not great. And sound was so good. The acting is amazing. It's an amazing show. It's an amazing. I felt like a kid again seeing a show again. You know, it truly just is everything that you want. It's smart. I think another reason why is because this has a semi-romance story at the beginning, but for the most part, it focuses on a story that doesn't have nothing to do about romance. You know, like there's songs about running. There's songs about having a fake brother. There's songs about a girl talking to a dead body. There's a song about killing a man in Maine. You know, like, again, it's very much anti-media propaganda. Like, it's very much, like, all media is propaganda, right? And Dead Outlaw is the one show that actually doesn't feed into media propaganda. Like, you're not gonna see a show that's a song about running. Song about somebody running. I think that's amazing that we have a show on Broadway that's in the cultural mainstream, and you have a song that's about running, where you don't have a plot that's centered around a love story. And maybe that's why this show isn't work. It's because it goes against all of the conventions. It truly does go against all of the conventions, and that's why people don't like stuff like this. Again, it's the basic things that, like, Boop and Smash didn't even get to, like compelling characters that feel like characters and not like theme park characters, that have an arc, that have a story. Like, it's intellectually stimulating. It gives you something to think about. The premise of it is just very different, and I like different stuff. Now again, sometimes different stuff can be not good. Three Houses, love the album, production was kind of flawed, you know, and that, I love Dave Malloy, but so again, even original stuff, I felt like that show was kind of repetitive and had directing issues, and I felt like, you know, they cut out a lot of it, and it could be something great, but it's okay. So this might not be the most articulate review, but if you have the money, and I know you guys do, go and see Dead Outlaw. You have nothing to lose. Go see Dead Outlaw. Go. That is my message. You must go and see this show. Even if you don't like it, if you go in with the right mindset, you will at least appreciate it. And you are seeing something that you are not going to see anywhere else on Broadway. That this is something that's actually revolutionary. This is something that actually in my opinion, pushes the art form. You might not get it now, but you will be lucky in 20 years when you will say, yes, I saw Dead Outlaw on Broadway with the original cast. Because it truly is a show unlike anything you've seen before. And that's probably why it's so hard to get people to go and see it. Because the plot is just so weird, and it's like, okay, it's about a dead body. But again, the genius of it comes through the subtlety, the lyricism, the little things that not a lot of people are gonna appreciate. But yeah, I've rambled for way too long. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. Best show of the season. This is maybe Happy Ending or tied, you know. As for what's gonna win Best Musical, I have no idea. I'm seeing maybe Happy Ending again for a third time at the end of the month. So it will be fresh in my mind. But when I was watching this show, I was like, I don't know, could this win? I think the way I see it, that Dead Outlaw and maybe Happy Ending are gonna win. Some like there is a universe where maybe Happy Ending gets book, score, musical, and that's more likely to happen than Dead Outlaw getting all three. But because these are two downtown artsy shows, and I think that there's a lot of schmuck on Broadway, I think the committee is going to give them equal stuff. So I think Dead Outlaw will win. I don't know. I feel like maybe Happy Ending does stay with you more. But I think Dead Outlaw could win book, and then maybe Happy Ending wins score and musical. But again, Dead Outlaw is a very quirky show, and Tony voters, I think, really could dig this, you know? Although, again, I do think this could be maybe a great comment, dear Evan Hansen situation. This is your great comment, and Evan Hansen's your maybe Happy Ending. Again, whoever wins Best Musical, I'm not going to be mad. I do truly believe that both of these shows are just so good that there's no possible way that they're not going to come home with one of the major awards. But maybe Happy Ending, I think, has more of a possibility of sweeping than Dead Outlaw, because it is such a singular, abstract show that it might not necessarily attract everybody. But I do think Tony voters, it's David Yazbek, and I think Tony voters are going to see it, and they're going to want to give it something. And I think it could upset. I really don't know. But I'm just so glad that we are living in a time where Dead Outlaw and maybe Happy Ending are going on at the same time. And Dead Outlaw is truly revolutionary, even if it's not so surface level obvious, because it isn't. It really isn't. Not in the way that you might say Hamilton is. But again, if you are a theater lover, or if you're someone that just comes in and sees a couple of shows every year, or someone that, I don't know, you see Wicked every time you go into the city, and you have 3 shows, see Dead Outlaw, see maybe Happy Ending, and then go and see your Wicked, go and see your schleck, your commercial garbage. But listen, if you can see 3 shows, see a commercial garbage, but see these 2 shows, please do. So that's the video. I'm not gonna even say like and subscribe. Go buy tickets to Dead Outlaw. Peace.